Hey, it's Steve with the FAP Turbo results, week 45. FAPTurboReview.net is where you can find our website, our review videos, etc. Results, FAPTurboResults.com. You can find our brokerage statements. Earlier this week, we talked about changing our settings and using the expert guide for one of our brokers. Dan will talk to you about the results, but the results were pretty good for that particular broker. Up 3%, and we had 20 trades versus normally the last few months we've only had 4 or 5 trades in a week. We had 20 trades the first week, up 3% with that, and you can check it out, the expert guide that we're using at fapturbo.ws. That's fapturbo.ws, and you can purchase it there, and that's what we're using, and we'll be going off of that as well. And lastly, I want to talk about fapturboreview.net/settings.html. These are the settings that we use for the LPRI account, and you'll also see a link for the expert settings for the fxdd account. But Dan will talk to you a little bit more about the settings and so forth, but and what brokers, what currency pairs to use, etc. But fapturboreview.net/settings.html, and you'll find the settings that we use for LPRI, and then a link for the settings for the expert guide. So here's Dan with the results for the week. Take care. Talk to you next week.
Hi, this is Dan with the FAP Turbo Weekly Update. Well, as most of you know, I have changed the settings for the fxdd account, and I'm using the settings recommended in the FAP Turbo Expert Guide. And it did definitely make a difference. The week ended up being a busy week for both the LPRI and the fxdd, so let's take a look at what happened. We'll start off by looking at the LPRI account. It had 5 trades. It had 2 winners and 3 losers, and for the week the account was down $2.57. On the LPRI account, we're using the settings that we've been using for the last few months, and on the account we are trading the Euro, Pound, Euro, Swiss franc, and the Pound Swiss franc. And now we're looking at the fxdd account. In the Experts Guide, they recommend right now only trading the Euro Swiss franc and the US dollar Canadian dollar. So I'm going with their guidelines. They have 3 different risk levels for their settings, and I'm using the medium risk level. And let me expand the trades at the bottom, and you can see all the trades that we did get this week. As you can see, we did get quite a few trades. As a matter of fact, we got 20 trades. 12 of them were winners, 5 of them were losers, and 3 of them were break-evens. For the week, the account is up $16.12. So now we're looking at the LPRI statement for the week. The account was down $2.57, which is a less than 1% decrease in the account. Overall, the account is up $336.97, which is a 67% increase in the account. And here is the fxdd statement for the week. Let me adjust the screen a little bit so we can get the bottom of the numbers in. Okay. For the week, it was up $16.12, which represents a 3% increase in the account for the week. Overall, the account is up $101.74, which is a 20% increase in the account overall. So the Expert Guide's settings have definitely helped our FAP Turbo results, at least for the first week. I'm hopeful that this will continue, and I will start reporting on the difference in the accounts since we made the changeover, so that we have something to compare apples to apples. So I want to thank you for listening to our update this week, and I hope you'll join us again next week.